Let's fight. A very good evening and welcome in the ring, folks. Wherever you guys are picking us up from, home here in Guyana, in the Caribbean, internationally, in the diaspora. We are privileged to have each and every one of you with us this evening, guys. Bartika, how are you doing? How is Bartika this evening? I hope getting better. I hope recovering from the crookish scampishness of a few that only wants to benefit themselves, the acolytes, and the family. Bartika, how you guys are doing? How are you guys doing? I heard that the COVID, the flood relief is being stored at the councillor's house, Councillor Bell. I heard to see Councillor Bell's house. The relief, the flood relief is being stored there. I've asked for some photographs, some video. We got to see what is happening, folks, and we got to keep each other accountable. Right? You got to keep me accountable, and I got to keep you accountable. And that's how this thing is going to go. Good night to each and every one of you. Whether you're joining us on Twitter, you're joining us on Facebook, you're joining us on YouTube. Folks, the flood is with us. The flood is with us. And the president had a meeting today. He ain't bargain for what he got there. He didn't bargain for it. Y'all understand me? He didn't bargain for it. No. What he should have done is like when Darmlal was going into East Ramville, he should have put out that notice, be on your best behavior. You understand me? Conduct yourselves properly. He wasn't bargaining for that rowdiness that he got to the left. Quick. But we're going to come to that shortly. Good to see all of you guys. You know you got to pay the price for admissions, guys. And I keep telling you, you have a responsibility. I got a responsibility. We want as many persons to benefit from this information, as many persons as possible. Some of you are all stingy. That is why you hug it to yourself. You ain't sharing the link. Even before I come on, I saw some content that we're going to show tonight being circulated in some WhatsApp group. And you know, strangely enough, folks, people send me back my own information. I put out information on my page, and some people are so excited, they send it back to me. I don't know why. They sent it back to me like, look what is happening out there. Look what these Jagabats doing. Look what the Trenchies doing. Good night to each and every one of you guys. Good to have you here with us. We're going to be getting some views from in the diaspora. And I really want to know, I really want to hear. If some of you want to call this evening, I'd be even grateful for that. We're in the diaspora tonight. And even if some of you want to call, I would appreciate it. I want to hear from you on the flood, on the COVID, on the general attitude of this government, their mismanagement. I want to hear from some of you. So let me guys, again, you can follow us on Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram there. That is my Instagram handle. You guys can also follow me on YouTube. Subscribe, search for me on YouTube and follow me. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube there, and you can also follow me on Twitter. I love Twitter. I love the intimate space that Twitter is. I really love Twitter and its own unique social media elements and how you can really connect with people. I love Twitter. I love all the folks on Twitter, even the Trenchies on Twitter, even the Jagabats on Twitter. We love those guys as well. So you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Follow me on my Facebook page. Don't just come and consume the content. Share the content. Follow my page on Facebook. Again, good to have each and every one of you. All my handles are the same. It's Sherry Duncan on Twitter, Sherry Duncan on Instagram, Sherry Duncan on YouTube. It's only on Facebook. I stick in my middle name there, Sherry Avery Duncan. You're going to get that at. But it's so nice to see all of you. I'm seeing hundreds of you already on this live stream. Hundreds of you guys. And I am ready to go with the hot topics for this evening. I am so ready to go bigly. So guys, if you're in the diaspora tonight, I want you to be able to participate as well. And you can WhatsApp call me. Guys, please don't call me by the ordinary phone. WhatsApp call. If you're in the diaspora, you have something pressing. I hope you're not going to be too long. But if you have something pressing, I want to hear from some of you. I used to hear from lots of my regular fans and followers and so on Facebook. I don't know. Some of them have kind of gone silent now. They still watch, but they've gone a little silent. I won't call any names so that anybody is offended too much this evening. But that being said, I won't call the name Leonard Zephyr and some of the others, right? I won't call all of them, but they know themselves. I won't call the names. They know themselves. Good to have all of you guys here, and I think I'm ready to go with the hot topics. And again, you guys can WhatsApp call me. I'd love to hear from some of you in the diaspora. What are your thoughts about exactly what is transpiring on the ground? I know you're in the chats, you are on the comment section in the post there, and you're having a good go at it. But I'd love to hear from some of you. I see Kim Walker from the United States of Kitty is joining us. I see Denise Marshall. I see Margaret Hunt, Angela Coates, Parmanan Dulichan. I see GT Black Gold and David Wood, Sarah Andrews and Karen Black. Yep, good to have Karen in the house tonight. I see Elizabeth Williams there as well, making myself comfortable in this chair. I see Roxanne Odessa Jacobs and Anita is Bowenlal. Anita Bowenlal. Good to see Anita. Leonard Zephyr all the way in Brooklyn. And Nadia Seaford, all the usual. Auntie Sandra is in the house. Joining us from Diamond, I see Renee McCalman Talbot. I ain't hear from Renee in a long time. Renee, what happened? Call me tonight now, Renee. Leonard, call me tonight now. God, man, I got Becky also. Valerie Mariah and Donna Joseph, Hollis London, Bentley Edwards, a whole host of folks. And then we have the Jagabats too, Margaret Hunt and Sharon Mercurius, Norma Jones, Devon Green, Valerie Mariah, Nicole Brandis Higgins. Hundreds and hundreds of folks have joined us this evening, folks. But let's get right to it. Let's get right to it. I hope I'm doing what I'm doing well. Let's get right to it, folks, in terms of our hot topics tonight. And, you know, very, very sad news. I want to start with this first because, oh, my God, these drivers, these Guyanese drivers, oh, my God. Oh, my God. Today, I was supposed to go to Berbice. And when I thought about the road, I felt very tired. I thought about the road and all the thinking you got to do when you're on this road with these drivers. I just turned back. I said, Berbice, and take one another day. I just turned back. So this young lady here is the latest road fatality in our country. And she's from Farm on the east bank of Essequibo. She lost her life just yesterday. Her name is Vashini Ramrup. And our thoughts and prayers, our condolences go with our family. She was hit, just disembark a minibus. And trying to cross the road when a pickup hit her. Just left a minibus. Oh my God. She started to live as a 12 years old. You understand me? As we say locally here, she mother milk still in her face. She mother milk still in her face. It is so sad. And Varshini leaves more a big family, our friends and all of our schoolmates, the community there on the east bank of Essequibo from Farm. And again, our thoughts and prayers go out with her family. Folks, it is raining. It is, you know, so much is happening. You are slow down there, man. Slow down. Practice some courtesy. The instant the green light says green, the honk in the horn. Oh my God. The instant the light says green, right? And they're about 6 cars behind, you know. They're about 6 cars behind and they're honking the horn. So impatient. Right? So again, our thoughts and prayers go out with young Vashini Ramrup and her family of Parika Fasad. That's the area, yeah. Parika Fasad, East Bank, Essequibo. Again, so sad. The girl started living her life yet. And these wild, uncouth, uncaring, remorseless drivers. So sad. That being said, another oil discovery. our 20th oil discovery. I don't even think it make a difference. I don't know, like I numb now to oil discoveries because be producing oil, like it make a difference. Right? Yeah, the man said last night he's more than a bag of rice. He's a bag of rice. He's more than a bag of rice. He said that a bag of rice is not a hamper. Right? A bag of rice is not a hamper. That is what he said. A bag of rice is not a hamper. I'm hastening through my hot topics to bring my guest on for the evening. He said a bag of rice is not a hamper. Right? So we're watching that. Another oil discovery, but I'm excited, folks. I can tell you that. I am not excited because the installer for Ali said, you know, they're going to international donors because they need money for the flood. It's more than them now. How much billions we got locked up from oil? They're going to borrow more money. Biggest budget ever past early March. Biggest budget ever. We go and they borrow a whole set of money for that budget. Now they're going to borrow more money. Right? That's what he said. So we are watching this oil discovery, but I tell you this, I'm not excited. I am not excited. I barely realized they had a 20th discovery. I'm excited, folks, because after more than a year of being an oil producing nation, the cooperative oil producing Republic of Ghana, we are feeling it. You understand me? When you see people scampering for a little hamper, that probably is not a good $10,000 properly. Honestly, it's not a good $10,000 per hamper. Scrambling for that. You realize, I don't know, this is the resource course. Big money, big wealth, big natural resources and so on, but we ain't feeling the effect. I ain't feeling it. So much for that. So much for that, folks. Well, Myers had enough. Myers said she had enough. And she's now suing Roxanne Myers from GECOM. She's now suing Datadin and Newsroom for $150 million. All right? She said, I tired of them now. All right? There comes a day when people had enough. There comes a day when people had enough. And I want to give you some parts of this story, which says that they said, in effect, that she prevented court marshals from entering GECOM building to serve notice on GECOM, that Myers prevented this, right? According to, I think this is, I think we got this report out of Village Voice. The defendants published the official designation of the claimant, Myers, as one who acted illegally, right, corrupted and ultra-virus her capacity as Deputy Chief Elections Officer as it pertains to March 2nd election. So they said she prevented these marshals from serving this from carrying out their functions, serving whatever writ or so on the Elections Commission. Right? So Roxanne said, I tired. That's what Roxanne said. Roxanne said, I tired. But as I thought about the presumptuousness of Datadin, Fat Boy, as I thought about the presumptuousness of Datadin, right, my mind took me back to another episode in our nation's history, right, when it was beyond the shadow of a doubt that a marshal was prevented from serving court documents on the sitting government and a political party. My mind took me back. Right? My mind took me back to when Janet Jagan was being sworn in, and there was an injunction to halt the swearing-in process. Let me give you a better look at that. My mind took me back there. And here is the court martial being restrained by operatives of the state from serving that court martial. Right? I used to know the man's name at the tip of my tongue. Right? You remember when Doodnath Singh was the chief elections officer? There was a whole song woven into the fabric of our nation's history after Do Not. I think it was the Mighty Rebel who sang that song. Do not, why you rig the election? Do not, why you rig the election? That was a refrain in that song. Some of y'all young. Or y'all memory short. Or y'all tech pay. Right? Do not was Chief Elections Officer, CEO. Sorry, Do not was Chairman. Do not was the Chairman of the Elections Commission. Do not sing. Right? This was the 1997 elections. Folks, do you know that Do Not Sing from Chairman of GECOM went on to be the Attorney General in the PPP's administration? So who knows what the future holds for Claudette? Who knows what the future holds for Claudette? Because Do Not Sing went on to become the Attorney General. Yep. From this independent fellow at GECOM, he went on to be very partisan. One day he just woke up partisan. Right? And he was given his pay. The pay that Do Not take was Attorney General. Yep. From Elections Commission Chairman to Attorney General under the PPP administration. So here, a court martial is being restrained. Folks, I hope you all sharing this live stream, because people need this information. They say Roxanne prevented the marshals from serving this court martial. We got a picture, but we got a picture of the PPP in 1997 physically restraining the court martial from serving the document. Right? Physically restraining. That was the election. You better read your history. I know the library open it back now to the public. Right? I don't know. But one of the things you've got to love if you love politics is reading. It's reading. And one of the tragedies in this country is that we don't write. Our politicians don't write a lot. And so some of that history is lost. And sometimes the only place to go back and to check is the newspapers. Right? I don't get a chance to do much of it now, but I used to just go to the library and just read. I want to go back 20 years. I've gone back beyond 1960, reading the graphic newspaper in the National Library. And I can show you, I took out photographs of some. This is one of the photographs that I took in the National Library. I got a photograph that I took. I was shocked to know that that this wasn't the first no confidence motion. We had Janet Jagan brought a no confidence motion way back when. It didn't go no place. The illegal alien, Janet Jagan. Dual citizen, Janet Jagan. Right? So if you love politics, you gotta love reading. Right? So when don't waste time on social media all the time, you gotta take it, shut down sometimes and put in some reading. Or use social media wisely. You got a lot of online newspapers. you can go back and read. So this is them here, folks, restraining. But no, that didn't forget all, right? When you wrong somebody and the same thing happened to you, your conscience is prickier and you say, I can let it slide. Right? I can let it slide. No. The PPP, this is them. This is the Jagabats restraining this fella here. Right? Folks, let me move along. We might gotta revisit this Friday night. Let me move along. Let's talk a little bit about the flooding that is transpiring in our nation. It's happening. This event, this national flooding, right? That is happening in our country. And I'm gonna pick my guest's brain on this particular topic a little bit and his perception being overseas, right? So they finally have acknowledged, as we discussed here last night and the night before, that we have a national flood. It's a crisis. It's a crisis. They have stopped short of saying it's a state of emergency. It's a crisis. All right. And that is what the CDC Director General of the Civil Defense Commission is saying here, that the flooding is now a national crisis. Folks, look at some images from Region 7. All right. These high marks are supposed to be the silting, the trench, none of the high mark under. All right. These are just some photographs from Region 7. All right. The people excavator and high mark and whatever else they have submerged. All right. This is the current state of some of these places. The current state of some of these places. Mind you, APNU AFC is now calling for no less than $100,000 cash grant for all severely affected households. All households that have been severely affected by the flood, APNU AFC is asking for $100,000. And even that, I believe, is very, very conservative based on the kinds of damage people will have to repair. So again, the APNU AFC coalition calls for not less than $100,000 as a cash grant for all severely affected households. And I'm certain, irrespective of which part of the political divide you on, the sexual orientation divide, religious divide, you can agree with that households across this nation are suffering tremendously, and no less than $100,000 should be given to every household to get us back to where we need to go. Because even before the flooding, prices were going up. So imagine what is happening now. Imagine what is happening now. And to show you what is happening now, Air Finale was on the quarantine, installed illegal Air Finale, was on the quarantine today. He didn't like the reception. He didn't like the reception that he got. I want you to take a listen to what happened there on the quarantine. And when we come back on the other side, we're going to have some. Take a listen to what happened. He wasn't prepared. He went for a photo opportunity, right? But politics is more than photo opportunities. He wasn't prepared for what he heard there. Take a listen, folks, and we're going to come back on the other side and discuss some of it.
Sir, is there any way you can do something about this? Reduce this vaccine or something? Okay, all right.
When the president say you're gonna say it's true.
Yeah, I say something, please. Put the noise.
Too much noise. What is this?
I want to speak about the hospital in Seattle, the hospital. We need some drugs.
Quiet, please.
Be quiet. Yeah, that's your
Quiet, everybody. Don't want to listen.
Oh, Governor and Minister, President, I live in this area down here. Oh, my problem is we need more drugs, more facility.
You just said that you don't have any drugs here, the sources.
No, more drugs, more facility, and more good doctor, because everybody go down here, the ambulance take them all the time when you answer them. So why transport everybody? People could stay just here. It's more hard for we to go to New Amsterdam to see our patients. So that is why I'm asking for some help for the hospital.
Is there any shortage of drugs there?
Yes, I went last week and you all don't have collateral tablets. There's no collateral tablets right now.
All those who say there's a shortage of drugs there from the house.
What you say?
Yes, we going to take the tablet and again pressure tablet.
I just wanted to point this out.
Come, not cost too much. Step back here.
The man got go close because you can listen. You can hear nothing. Stupid people. Excuse. Managam. You not listen. You are gone in already to listen. He could have so much police that can't clear the crowd. This man wants to say something. This is the president, yes. Come to keep the meeting. For sunflower, rice, capers.
Yeah, partner.
Smiley always! Smiley always! Smiley there! Not put Smiley! Smiley always! Smiley needs to get Smiley, what's this? You want to share right? That
Smile. The man saying I have got that to you. The man right there. Look at the chairman. And this camera. This is chairman. Thank you.
You get? A man jumping and he gone. There time. Your man there.
Yep, folks, there we have it. There we have it. Amana, listen. Amana, listen. Igan. That's the big auntie said. Big auntie song as though this is the big auntie song as though this is the quarantine edition of In the Ring. Amana, listen. He gone. He jump in the car and he gone. Amana, listen. The folks, I want to bring in my guests to help me parse and break down some of that. Let's welcome Ewart Marshall from the US. Ewart, good evening, my brother. Welcome.
Good evening, Sharon. Good evening, listeners. It's my pleasure to be here with you.
It's great to have you.
Circumstances.
I think it's the first time you're in the ring, sir.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Let me adjust my camera a little bit here so you can see me.
Great.
Okay.
And tell us which part of the USA you're joining us from this evening.
I reside in Brooklyn, New York, USA. I've lived in Brooklyn, New York for quite a few decades now, but my heart is always in Guyana too.
Excellent. That is why I wanted to have you in the ring. I wanted that external view, because sometimes we get caught up in the mundane issues. We aren't thinking broadly, and you bring a different perspective to it, being in the diaspora. Ina, listen. Ewart, listen. I'm gone.
Wow. Well, I think, it gives new meaning to it when they say people are in over their head. They then water over their head, literally and figuratively. In the case of our local president there. The flood in Guyana is so newsworthy, so big, that it's made. It's been mentioned on CNN and the New York Times. Huge media outfits. So when you can make it to those places, CNN, the New York Times, something bad, something big has happened.
Yep. And this is the culmination. Really, this is the PPP's leadership on display. They said they had a plan. They wanted to lead this nation. They called us riggers. We don't know this. We don't know that. They had a parallel COVID team. They said they're going to hit the ground running on day one. Now they're stuck in the mud.
Well,
what is happening in your mind?
Well, flooding like this didn't occur during the last administration. Riggers or whatever they want to call the previous government. We haven't seen anything like this, and I don't know that I've witnessed anything like this in Guyana in my lifetime. And I'm 57 years old. Perhaps it's occurred, but wow, this is unbelievable. What's happening here? It's my understanding that the previous government, specifically Minister Patterson, had plans and was doing things to alleviate some of the flooding and some of these issues caused by global warming or extra rainfall and all of that. And he was moving quite well towards these realizing these projects. But it's like night and day how these things are being handled, and I'm at a loss for words almost. It's the comparison, the contrast is so stark. I'm not hearing you.
I was saying there, when I sat down recently and reflected on all that is happening, I think for the first time, in a long time, if ever, I felt like I was really and truly living in a third world country. It is like one thing after the next with this government that they are not getting right. And here is the president in the heart of quarantine. These are their supporters, right, who are not feeling the weight of the government and government services being brought to bear on the challenges that they face. How much more so the rest of us, right? He didn't even answer the question. He just picked up and he gone. So if they're not listening to their own people in this critical time in our nation's history, in this national flood that, as you rightfully said, has made the international news, who are they listening to?
It frightens me, because this is water. Suppose there was an oil spill, what would happen? Offshore, and something like that. If it was to make its way towards the shores of Guyana, Guyana doesn't have earthquakes and hurricanes and things like that. But if this is the way they handle a water disaster, how would they handle some other large disaster? Every schoolboy, school child knows that Guyana is below sea level, much of it. It's certainly the coast. And for any government to be this ill prepared to deal with something like this is unbelievable. It's unforgivable.
It's absolutely sad to see what's happening to the point now where they're saying they're coming to act in National Assembly, and they're going to be asking us, the opposition, to agree with them for $10 billion. And that's only the tip of the iceberg, based on what they said this money is going to do, short and medium term measures. But then they're going internationally now to ask for more money. We've just increased our international debt ceiling in terms of how much we can borrow, $600 billion for the last budget. It was the largest budget ever, and all kinds of madness. And now we are going back to borrow again. Your thoughts, Ewart?
Well, you know, it's perplexing. Here we have $263 million US in a bank account in New York. You know, I don't know if it collects interest or not, but you know, that's for a different show, I guess. Now we're going begging, you know, with the begging bowl, as Owen Arthur, the late Owen Arthur, spoke about.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, once again, where we have this money in the bank and we're going begging, rather than the president calling the opposition together and saying, what can we do as a united government, as a team, to alleviate the suffering? You know, we have photo ops and you know, him running out the place in the quarantine because he can't answer the questions. I mean, what's next? You know, I agree that the opposition and the government need to come together to come up with a plan, a single plan on how to deal with this. You know, politics aside, people are suffering. We're all Guyanese, and we all have to get together to find a way to deal with this. I think the people of Guyana will understand why we've come together, why we need to come together, what we need to do. This is a serious crisis. Other islands in the Caribbean suffer through hurricanes and things like that.
This is our hurricane.
This is our hurricane. This is our hurricane. It's shameful.
And Ewart, what is sad, I know where you are. When you have national disasters, moments in the nation's psyche that is seared into the nation's psyche in the way this flood is doing locally, Democrats and Republicans can find common ground to work together. The government is refusing vehemently to work with the opposition. That is why they are going to international donors, because to access the oil money, they got to talk to the opposition. And they hate us so much, they rather go and beg internationally for money. Well, we have money set aside for a rainy day. This is that rainy day. They are refusing to work with us, even in this national crisis, as the CDC has said.
Well, the opposition represents half of Guyana. It's not like one party won 70% of the vote and the other party won 30%. It's evenly divided. You know, in Parliament, the difference in Parliament is 1 or 2 seats. So for them to ignore the opposition is the same as them ignoring half the population of the country. For them not to bring the opposition to the table to come up with solutions for this problem is to say half the people of this country we don't care about.
Well said. Well said. And one of the challenge that we're seeing here is the whole notion of them not, or rather playing to their base, in the distribution of the flood relief. That is one of the things that we are seeing here. Only giving their supporters, or their supporters get the hug of it. And I was quite taken by surprise by an article that was published quite recently in a journal called, let me get it up right for you, because I want to quote a part of it, and I want to quote it accurately, by one Terence Blackman, Dr. Terence Blackman. It talks about Guyana tribalism and competence. Guyana's tribalism and competence, and they're talking about this doctor is talking about how we're managing our oil resources and who gets. That's the discussion. Who gets from it? And this is what he says. This is what he says, Ewart. He says, when we focus on only what is good for our tribe, we lose a sense of the greater community. And in particular, we lose the understanding of how our tribal embrace damages the world around us, in our families, our communities, our institutions, and in our society at large, tribalism threatens to tear the fabric of Guyana apart. This was recent, this isn't 60 years ago. This was in the last 2 weeks. To thrive, Dr. Blackman says, we must satisfy 3 psychological needs: choice, connection, and competence. Our tribe creates a space for us to succeed, to find choice, connection, and competence. Across the political spectrum, Guyana's political leadership thinks that by appealing to their narrow political tribes, that they are providing psychological safety for their tribesmen and tribeswomen, when in fact they are doing just the opposite. Ewart.
Well, it's very, very sad that this tribalism has been allowed to continue over the years and decades. It's as though we hate ourselves. We hate part of the population that we perceive does not support us or does not vote for us. How can the nation develop when only half the abilities are utilized, half the brains, half the energy, half the resources are utilized? We know Guyana per capita is one of the richest countries in the world. And decades after independence, decades and decades after the slave revolts and the marches and the union movement and all of that, we're still trying to reach this potential. It saddens me that this tribalism keeps us from marshaling our resources, our intellectual resources, our natural resources towards the betterment of our people and our nation. Guyana should be the shining star in the West Indies. It once was.
It should. Yep.
Yet small-mindedness is keeping us, small, keeping us down. When will it end? There's enough for everyone to share in the abundance of Guyana. Everyone. Guyana has more resources than it knows what to do with. And, I pray, I wish, whatever word you want to use, that our leadership, finally wakes up and comes together to work. To help us to reach our potential, this potential that everyone talks about, but that no one seems to know how we reach.
Yeah, and and that is our struggle. Our struggle is, how do we together live in this common space and share our resources equitably? And that is a tremendous challenge for the PPPC administration. That is now only amplified by this national flood, because even with the COVID cash grants, people can tell you when they come to a community that they assume favors the APNU AFC. Oh my Lord, the criteria that they unveil to receive $25,000 is the only thing left for them to ask you for is a blood sample and a stool sample. They want to look in your pot, how much bed you got, how much fridge in your house, all kinds of madness. And I have seen in communities with my own eyes that traditionally vote for the PPP. They go to some bottom house, some shop, and you just come, ID card, no ID card, and you get your money. That is only now exacerbated by a national flood. And who gets and who don't get?
Well, I hope, but the Guyanese, I think, know about this tribalism quite well. I'm hoping that the international community, these same people that the government is going to go to beg for money, I hope they are now seeing what's going on and realizing what is going on. It wasn't a figment of anyone's imagination, as far as discrimination and favoritism and tribalism and all of that. I hope they're seeing it firsthand. The ambassadors, the high commissioners and all that, they're seeing what's going on. And, I believe the Guyanese have enough intellect to solve our problems. But, perhaps this is a chance for the international community to prod, to push, to encourage all sides in Guyana to come together to deal with what is a natural disaster, our hurricane, our version of a hurricane. Excuse me.
Yeah, and I'm happy. I'm happy in a sense that you mentioned that international community, because I saw, or it was drawn to my attention, a very strange phenomenon just this afternoon, as you talked about, these international bodies being able to help us. I want to bring up on screen, this is a news article out of Newsroom, which says that the Chinese embassy is partnering to reduce electricity costs, not for a segment of the poor people in our country, for Everest Cricket Club. I thought the missions and embassies in a country deal directly with a government, but I see here now the Chinese embassy is helping a private club, right? Everest is that managed by the government. And what struck me is what they said in the article. I want to quote it for. That's why I put up the whole thing there. A partnership with the Chinese embassy will see the Everest Cricket Club reducing its electricity costs by 60%, says president of the club and Speaker of the National Assembly, Mansour Nadir. So I don't know if
But
this club is an annex to parliament or what have you, but it's troubling.
Yeah, this raises serious questions. How do the Chinese do this? Are they giving someone cash to pay the electric bill, the light bill? Are they building a special wind farm or solar farm or hydroelectric in some corner of this country that we don't know about just to service this?
Yeah.
This brings up questions of sovereignty and, are they selling a piece of this country or giving away a piece of this country to the Chinese for something? This is scandalous.
And Ewart, listen, I reached out to somebody to try to make sense of this issue. And here's what the individual said, that this is not a coincidence. And of course, the use of political office to curry favor in reference to the speaker for the club, etc. If they said that it was a pilot program and the Chinese embassy is assisting other clubs, etc., would be otherwise, one would think the otherwise. But other clubs should be asking what happened to we, like goat bite we, right? And so, as you said, this raises some serious questions. The Chinese embassy helping a cricket club that is affiliated with the Speaker of the National Assembly, are favors being carried. What's happening here?
Yes, I would urge respectfully, I would urge the leader of the opposition to speak to the Chinese ambassador to find out what is going on here. At the very least, they should match this with some other, something in Linden or Bartica or Georgetown, wherever, just to show that they're balanced and fair. I mean, this is, something that reaches diplomatic levels. The leader of the opposition definitely should approach the Chinese and ask what is going on here. Ask for seek clarification.
Definitely. And as I have you, Ewart, I see that you guys are making tremendous strides where vaccinations are concerned. One of the points that I raised on this very program last night is that even though the Republicans and the Democrats have their differences, in these moments in the nation where the sides need to come together, they often do. And I heard a political commentator said something the other night that was so refreshing, that this was a Democratic commentator that favors the Democrat, and the person was saying that they were thankful for Mr. Trump, who went full force into what they call Operation Warp Speed in producing or aiding in terms of policy the production of these vaccines in record time. And then Mr. Biden came in and had the vision and the foresight in terms of rolling it out very quickly to the population. We don't give kudos like that here. We do not give kudos like that. The PSB come in and they break down everything the Granger administration tried to establish. Break down everything.
Well, COVID was recognized in the United States very early on as a national threat. It didn't care if you were Democrat or Republican. It was a threat to the health of the population. It was a threat to the economy. And so it was dealt with along those lines. Guyanese need to realize that this flood, and other things, pose a threat to the health, to the security, to the economics of the country, and so they must come together to solve these problems. Democrat and Republican, they have varying ideas on how this country should develop and how it should move forward. But once they recognize that something is a threat, they find a way to come together and solve that problem, deal with it, and then they go back to whatever they were doing. And so I would urge Guyanese, government, opposition, right, left, whatever, wherever you are, whatever ethnicity you are, come together to solve this problem. This is, I don't want to use the word existential, but it comes very close. It comes very, very close. Next thing you hear is that disease will start ravishing the nation. On top of COVID, you might have something else come out of this.
Yeah, we got to look out for cholera. We got to look out for leptospirosis. So many things. You understand me? So many things we have to be watchful for. But I went to Biden because I noticed we here have, for instance, policy on paper. There are certain businesses that are allowed to go way past the curfew time. Certain businesses, police running in every second to close them down. One man wrote a very stinging letter to the COVID task force, against the COVID task force, and said, look, y'all got the airport operating 24 hours per day. I tried to get to the airport one night based on when my flight was leaving, and we were stopped and charged and had to go and pay a whole set of money at the police station. What madness is this? So you have a curfew, but the airport operates 24 hours.
I mean, I forgive me for laughing, but this is the sort of things you have to deal with. In developed countries, people lose their jobs for things like that. People are demoted for things like that. We have to do better. We have rich, powerful, sophisticated companies trying to develop the country, bring up oil upstream, downstream, natural gas, oil, what have you. And this is the way we're running the country.
Yeah.
There has to be serious thought, deep thought given to what, how we establish rules and regulations and, laws and, this is not a joke. Everybody want to jump up, and start a political party, and they want to run government, they want to be president, and this and that. This is serious business. People's lives, are in the balance in many cases. And incompetence leads to tragedy.
Incompetence breeds more incompetence, and I'm happy you mentioned that, because the point I really wanted to get to is something that I saw and we didn't get a chance to address in that Irfan Ali meeting on the quarantine. It's the fact that Irfan didn't command that room at all.
Look, you
talking on their own business as though he was not even there. Even when he was talking, people were talking.
He was ready to go for the first minute of that.
Because he didn't command the room. Right, he was frustrated and he just left.
But let me ask you: do you recall the hurricane that hit Puerto Rico in 2017?
Yes.
And then the picture of Trump throwing toilet paper to people in in the crowd, as he addressed them. That's what that reminded me of. I hope I'm not mixing up my two different natural disasters, but I know you can recall the images on TV of President Trump throwing out. It lacks dignity. It lacks, like you said, command of the room, leadership, because in a situation like that, people want to know that they have a steady hand on the wheel.
And one of the things you always notice, Irfan is always sitting down for some reason. Like he would, as Trump called Jeb Bush, low energy. Right? This is Irfan, low energy. He always got to sit down at his press conferences. He always sitting down. He never stands up at a lecture and for any period of time. Trump again. As I said, Hillary doesn't have doesn't have the stamina. This is Irfan, and totally from the beginning of the couple minutes he spent at this location on the quarantine, he never commanded that room for 1 second. People just kept talking over him, talking under him. People just kept talking. No respect. And if you can't even command the respect of your base, right, or at least command the respect, let people command the respect of the office, to God, you're a puppet.
Well, you know, I won't criticize him too much for sitting down, you know, but I agree with you. It speaks to his, you know, how people perceive him and his ability to lead and to command a room and to take charge of a situation. When we
politics is everything. Politics
when we elect a leader, he or she doesn't have to be the smartest one in the room or the biggest and bravest person in the room, but there are certain qualities that you expect to see in your president. And you want to see leadership, you know, that word that we Guyanese use all the time, you know, and loosely, and you know, it's not something you can easily define all the time, but you know it when you see it. And you know it when you don't see it.
I'm happy you said that, Ewart, because I automatically remember that quotation. Somebody said, leadership is like good art. You know it when you see it.
That's right.
You know it when you see it. And that wasn't leadership today at all. Never commanded the attention of the room. Did not even finish answering the questions. Right? He just got up, just shut down, and just left. Right? And that is why the woman said what she said. She probably didn't even know her mic was still up. You understand me? He gone. The man jumped in the car and gone.
Oh boy. Well, all we can do is pray and hope and encourage our leadership in Guyana to see the light and to come together.
Send them some books. Some leadership books. But I wanted us to, as we look to program time, Ewart, to talk about COVID in the sense that it seems, again, we have all these different policies, and again, government, and the government that this guy purports to lead, Irfan, right, doesn't have a coherent policy. Now the army is pressuring their recruits, their soldiers, period, to get vaccinated or else. You got businesses like Giftland Mall, GPL, and other private businesses pressuring employees, get vaccinated or else. And then you got the installed minister of labor saying, there is no mandatory vaccination, right? It is unlawful for workplaces. Well, we agree on that. I can say we agree on that. Unlawful for workplaces to force employees to get vaccinated, but yet workplaces, private and public, are doing this with impunity. And of course, if there's where I eat my bread, I want to comply, even though I don't know about this vaccine, and I don't know what is the effects it will have on me.
You know, this is a problem that it affects even the United States. You know, there are many people who are frightened of getting vaccines in general, and certainly with this COVID vaccine, they feel it hasn't spent enough time being developed and all of that. But for a country, but the United States is a country of more than 300 million people. A small country like Guyana, as far as population, would be even more devastated if this thing gets completely out of hand with all the variants, and being next door to Brazil, which is having their own problems with regards. Can you imagine the death toll in that, you know, it's occurring in Brazil, somehow reaching Guyana? I mean, it's unbelievable. So again, the government and the opposition should come together to try to allay the fears and the apprehensions that people have with regards to getting this virus. So the companies developing these vaccines, are world-class companies. It's not somebody get up one night and in a basement or the garage they come up with a formula for something. These are major biotechnology companies, and you know, a better job needs to be done as far as educating the population to the benefits of getting this. I think a better job can be done.
And with that, Ewart, I've seen that the U.S., your president there, will be giving to the world 500 million doses, I think, of Pfizer vaccine. Definitely, we're going to get some. So I wanted to say thank you to you guys there for being so generous.
Yeah, well, access to the vaccine should not be so difficult. A few weeks ago, I read an article that said the price of a vaccine ranges anywhere from $3 to $36 US, right? Let's say you take an average $20 a dose, right? Do the math there. I'm sure you have a calculator. If every person in Guyana was to get two doses, that's $40 US. Multiply that by 780,000 people. I did the math and it came up to something less than 30 million US. Right? Meanwhile, we have 263 or 270 million US. So my point is, getting the vaccine should not be an issue, even if you have to buy it.
Yeah. But the government behaving hand to mouth. That's behaving.
Exactly.
Right? And I don't want to leave out this part because, for instance, in the second budget, the 2021 budget, they said that there was fiscal space there on the line item 6141 for raise for public servants. Months later, nothing. We behaving hand to mouth. Right? That is why I said when the program started, we've been producing oil for more than a year and a half. This 20th oil discovery doesn't faze me, doesn't budge me, doesn't excite me because we don't feel it.
The only people making money is Exxon, Hess, and CNOOC. Schlumberger and Halliburton and these people. I am yet to figure out who in Guyana is making money from this, other than the people who are doing things under the table and things. What will happen when all the other blocks are explored and drilled and the oil is extracted and this money ends up in this account? We're gonna have billions of dollars US, and the people that still be dealing with flood and can't get a house lot and can't pay school fee and so I'm beginning to see that third world and poverty and all that. Maybe it's not just a physical state; it's a mental state.
Oh yes,
it's a mental state.
Bob Marley says, "Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds." And
perhaps there are people who want to suffer. They want to be poor. They want to not live the good life.
And they want to keep you poor to dominate you. As well, and that's why you only get a bag of rice. A wealthy country like us, and in some villages, just a bag of rice. Well, we're more than a bag of rice, and a bag of rice is not a hamper. Let us end on that note this evening. I want to thank you for coming through from Brooklyn, New York.
Thank you, Sherrod.
All the folks there with you, Ewart, and in the diaspora this evening, folks.
Thank you, Sherrod. It was great talking to you.
It was nice talking to you as well, Ewart. Very, very refreshing and insightful. For those persons who we're leaving now, remember to sanitize, social distance, wear your mask, practice all the other COVID-19 protocols that are there for your health and for your safety. Thanks for joining us. Share our live stream, retweet, subscribe on YouTube. Thank you.
It was a pleasure, Sherrod. It was a pleasure, Guyanese. Thank you very much.
Stay safe, folks.
I will.